Jason Rzucidlo reporting for AmericaJR.com, being joined by new country artist Margaret Durante. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Very good. So please tell me how you got started in the music business.
I got started by actually playing with a Bruce Springsteen cover band when I was 16. I've been singing for my whole childhood, and my parents were very encouraging, and I got to sing in choirs and weddings and parties and things like that. My first full band live audience experience was with
Yeah.
16 when I met them. I can hear you. And we met by at least one of them, and we hit it off. And they invited me to come play a bunch of shows with them. And I didn't sing Bruce Springsteen songs, but they backed me in singing a lot of the songs I like to sing, like Shania Twain and Mary Chapin Carpenter and Melissa Etheridge and Sugarland and all different kinds of music like that. And eventually we incorporated some originals that I had written. So I had the opportunity to sing them in front of a live audience. And then I went off to college to Clemson, South Carolina. I was studying music and management. I was determined to be, do something involving music, ideally be a performer. And I got my music heard by Tommy Mottola. He used to run Sony Music, and he liked what he heard and invited me to come to his office, and my heart was always with country. As a result, he introduced me to James Job, my producer and label head, because he had worked with him when James was at DreamWorks and his wife was at Sony. So I was very lucky to meet him, because that introduction resulted in this working relationship with James. It's been, it's lasted since I moved here 3.5 years ago.
Okay. Now, who were some of your musical influences growing up?
Well, Shania Twain was my first concert. I loved the Dixie Chicks. My mom played Mary Chapin Carpenter and Bonnie Raitt, Melissa Etheridge, and Tracy Chapman around the house, and I loved all kinds of music, but I think those were the artists that, I really respected and admired, and therefore, when I started writing music of my own, that's what I gravitated towards.
Okay. Now, what's the story behind your song, Mississippi's Crying?
Mississippi's Crying was a song that my two friends, Shelly Fairchild and Stephanie Smith, wrote, and I didn't know them really at the time, but I heard the song. Shelly was performing it at a Nashville venue on a weeknight, but it was a few weeks after I moved to Nashville, and I was really freaked out by the fact that I dropped out of college and I was living on my own in Nashville. I didn't know anyone, and it was a big change to go through, but I heard that song, and it was one of those few situations in which you hear a song one time through and you're totally moved by it. And it was a moment of reassurance for me where, I didn't have a doubt in my mind that Nashville was where I needed to be, because music like that exists, and I knew I was putting myself in the best position to find wonderful people to collaborate with and find my voice and what I wanted to say in a place like that. So I became friends with Shelly and Stephanie after the show, and we wrote our first song together a few weeks later, and it was one of my favorite songs. It's going to be on the album later this year. It's a pretty sentimental story.
Please give me some highlights of your debut EP that was released, titled Maybe Tonight.
It's a 4-song EP, and 2 of the songs, Paper Chains and Maybe Tonight, I co-wrote, and the other 2 are songs that I found that really relate to me, and I wanted to share them with my audience. But I can tell you about the writing process. Is that what you want me to discuss, or?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay. So I wrote Maybe Tonight with my friends Rachel Proctor and Claire Daly, and the song was written about a year ago. Because we were sort of looking at the songs at hand, and I was in that early stage of relationship where everything's exciting and there's a lot of anticipation, and they could relate to that. I mean, from when they'd fallen in love, and we started writing this really catchy song, and it took us one afternoon to finish it, and it just came very naturally. And I played it for my producer James, and he fell in love with it and helped me sort of bring it to life. And it was the first song I wanted to release on the EP because I think it's a great introductory song. It's disarming, and it shows a lighthearted side of my personality that I think is, the way to introduce yourself to your fans.
Okay. Copyright 2011, AmericaJR.com, Detroit, Michigan, USA.